A dense, foreboding fog rolled into the quiet town of Enfield on a night that was otherwise unremarkable. The first to notice was Old Man Jenkins, who mentioned it to no one, figuring it was just an unusual weather pattern. But by morning, the fog had thickened to a point where visibility was reduced to mere inches. The townspeople awoke to a world shrouded in a swirling, icy gray mist. As the sun failed to break through the gloom, unease began to spread through the community. Children, usually so eager to begin their day, refused to leave their homes. Dogs barked incessantly at nothing their owners could see. By noon, the first scream echoed through the fog, chilling the marrow of anyone who heard it. No one could determine its source because the thick, soupy mist distorted sound, making it impossible to pinpoint direction. Deputy Harris, a lifelong resident who prided himself on maintaining order, tried to organize a search party, but panic had already begun to grip the town. Doors were locked, windows were barred, and the streets lay deserted. As day turned to night, the fog grew colder, its icy tendrils creeping into homes through every crack and crevice. And then the creatures came. They moved silently and swiftly, shadows darker than the night, glimpsed only in the periphery of vision. They fed on fear, and as the terror in Enfield grew, they grew stronger. Margaret, a single mother of two, sat huddled with her children in their living room. The curtains were drawn but did little to hold back the encroaching chill. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and a shape moved outside the window. Her daughter whimpered, clutching her teddy bear tighter. Margaret whispered calming words, though her own heart thundered in her chest. Across town, Father O'Malley clutched his Bible tightly, muttering prayers in Latin. Shadows flickered along the candlelit walls of the small church, and he could feel their malevolent presence pressing in, seeking entry. Slowly, the realization dawned on the townspeople that the fog wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was alive, a living entity that brought with it harbingers of fear, and it grew thicker, feeding on the collective dread. In the dark hours of the early morning, Margaret decided she couldn't wait for salvation. She bundled her children up, determined to find a way out of the town. As they stepped into the fog, the oppressive cold wrapped around them like a shroud. They moved slowly, each step echoing with the sound of their own fearful heartbeats. The creatures circled closer, drawn by their rising panic. Margaret whispered soothing words to her children, but knew she was losing them to terror. Just as she felt the icy breath of one of the creatures on her neck, a brilliant light pierced the fog. It was Deputy Harris, wielding a powerful flashlight and holding the hands of other desperate townsfolk who had banded together. With a newfound sense of hope, they moved as one, the creatures retreating from the light. They knew they had to leave the town behind, for as long as the fog remained, fear would never relinquish its hold. It was a long, grueling journey, but by dawn, they had reached the edge of the fog. As the morning sun broke through, the mist receded, taking with it the terror that had gripped Enfield. The survivors looked back, knowing they would never forget the night the fog rolled in.